I'll be right back. Hot. It tastes nasty, but it's cold. So we're back on the skeleton. This is one of the barrel toppers I just made. What's up, Know You Joe? So that's a barrel topper I just made. That's going out to Ray, California. And we're going to get started back on this skeleton. Kind of mold it a little bit. I guess it would help if you saw what I was doing, wouldn't it? Yep, there you go. Thanks. Yes, I made this a few months ago, and it's been pretty cool. Actually, this was the first time that I made it that it actually came out of the mold really nice. The other times, man, you had a fight to get that sucker out, but this one came out really nice. So we'll be painting that up in a day or two. Probably start on tomorrow sometime. Now we're working on our skeleton here. What's up, brother Cobwebs? So a while ago I thought I was out of clay, but for some reason I never look in my box. I have a whole 25 pounds, so. So now we're going to start on this section up here. So I'm just going to throw some clay on this up here. Then we'll go make a skull. Then we'll cut that sucker down and we'll put one on here. So if y'all want to watch me make a skull, I can show you how I make the skulls as well. It's pretty cool. It's pretty quick. If that's something you'd be interested in. So we're going to do, so the last time, after I got off the live feed last time, I went ahead and did all of my clay up around the rib cage. So now what I'll end up doing is I'm going to finish this clay out up here, but I will take some old foam and stuff like that, put inside of the rib cage just kind of as a filler. Then I'll start claying over top of that, or you can use great stuff foam or something like that to do your filler. And all that filler is doing is just to keep your silicone from going inside here. And this is just kind of the rough draft, if you want to say, a rough sculpt ordeal to get the clay get the clay on the platform here, and then we can go through and look at and move it around and figure out how we want to do it. So I'll be making a couple of these different styles, and I think the next one I'll do will be on a rock background, and then I'll probably do one with some different distorted hands, arms, or something on there. It's hard to tell. So I'm trying to keep everything within a 2-foot section with a 5-foot skeleton, and it's right at it's about 20 inches wide with the hands down. So you got very limited room where you can to distort your arms and stuff like that. So you got to be careful on that. And I want to keep the 2-foot wide by 6-foot long ordeal. So, and I think it's just going to make it much more easier to ship that way if I need to ship it. Let me see. Okay, this thing sucks. I need to get my computer out here so I can see what I'm doing. Joe or Bill? Yeah, I'm going to use people requested a open mouth Nightmare Maker skull. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll make one of those and we'll cut it down to make it set off to the side or how we want to face it on this platform. So the plan with this is I've only got one piece of this pink foam in here, but I have the other one sitting over there. So what I'll end up doing is I'm going to end up putting 2 pieces together, and I am going to mold a 2-inch lip around this. This way, whenever I go to pour it in the rigid foam, you'll have at least a 2-inch going around here than whatever height is on this stuff. So I'm trying to make sure it's thick enough and to look all right and be able to attach it to a wall or however you want to do it. So I'm also thinking that I'm thinking about making fiberglass ones. I'm not sure. So once I make the rigid foam ones, I will take and fiberglass it and just kind of. Now you're going to lose a little bit of detail, of course, when you're using fiberglass and mesh and all that stuff. But I'm thinking about fiberglassing some, and that will be a real strong piece. So, I'm afraid about with a 6-foot piece like this, and it's going to be rigid foam, and you go to ship that thing's going to. And UPS and FedEx and all them isn't going to be easy with it. So it'll probably end up in 20 pieces by the time it gets to the customer. But if you do it in fiberglass, it might withstand a little bit of punishment. I mean, Cobwebs can tell you he got some packages before. They sent him an empty box and said, "Oh, you don't have nothing in your box." I'm like, well, why don't you just send them a note and say, "Hey, you got an empty box"? Didn't make no sense. But some assembly required, yes. Just have a lot of super glue on hand so you can glue it all back together. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. I got a little bit of air coming in here. That feels good. That outside air. It's trying to rain outside, so I just got off the phone with Ray. That's why I came on late, because Ray wouldn't let me go. But this is the start of his barrel toppers. his barrel topper. So we got this thing going on. Needs trimmed up and painted. I think probably weighs a good 15, 20 pounds. So it's going to be a heavy piece. So if you're always interested in a barrel topper, I'll make those. Thanks, Ray. I hope it's awesome the time I get it painted and everything. If not, we'll trash it and make another one. So this thing here, you guys, you can make it however you want to. There's all kind of different ways to make this stinking thing. And right now I'm just making like maybe 4 or 5, 6 inch flat pieces of clay and just sticking them on there, and I'll overlap them on the next one. And it doesn't look bad just that way. I mean, you can leave it that way if you want to, if you do one. Or you can make your own design in the clay, however you want to do it. So, or eventually you can buy one of these if it comes out okay. We're going to find out. So if you guys are interested in seeing the silicone process on this, let me know and I'll show you that too. It's pretty straightforward. It's not bad. It's not real hard. It's just sticky and messy. I have to order the silicone though. I got silicone, but I don't think I have enough to do the whole thing. But if you're always interested in seeing that, well, maybe we'll do a live on that, or if you'd rather have just a regular video with it cut and edited and stuff, I can do that as well. I know some people like the lives and some people don't. I understand, because some of the lives is you get what you get. I mean, there's no editing in that. So you kind of got to watch everything. I guess with the lives, if we screw up, you see it. That's for sure. Is the Skelly store-bought? Yes, the Skelly is either Home Depot or Lowe's. So what we did is we kind of tore it apart. So we tore some of the feet apart, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to use these on there. So I end up cutting them down and put on there or something like that. Basically, all you're doing is using the skeleton for, it's more of a reference than anything, because you're going to be covering up most of it. Probably 90% of this skeleton is going to be covered. So that's like I was saying on the first video, why reinvent the wheel? I mean, you could probably sit here and sculpt the whole skeleton if you wanted to, but whew, why would you do that when you can go buy a $30 one and just start sculpting on top of it? And we'll use a Nightmare Maker's skull for it instead of the real skull that was on this. Because I don't like this one. This one, so these are all right, but I just don't like these skulls. It'd be too much to, throw together and stuff, and cut it and get it all the way you should, the way you need it. With a rigid foam skull, you can cut that thing down. So we'll probably end up cutting that thing at the 45 degrees or something like that, and figuring out how we want to stash it on this piece here. And it's just so much easier to work with. And with silicone and stuff, it'll come off that silicone real easy. Man, you can sculpt your own skeleton if you want to. You're more than welcome to. I'm not that great of a sculptor, so I figured I would just use an old skelly and just cover it up. And basically, all we're making is a 2 foot by 6 foot skeleton wall sconce, in a sense. So, it should turn out okay, I believe. If not, we'll throw it away and start over again. If you guys been following me for a while, you will see that I did a huge freaking mold. I did one of legs, like your bottom waist down with guts hanging out of it. And I did a huge one of those, and I screwed it up, which I kind of knew that I probably would because I didn't have enough ultra cal. So I used plaster of Paris mixed in with the ultra cal. I figured, well, if I mix it, I might have a chance. Well, when I did that, the thing, I was taking the mold or the clay and stuff out of the mold, and the thing shattered like glass. So it's little stuff like that you learn. That's not a good idea to do. So, but you don't know until you try. And that's what me, Keith, and Dave are here for, because we're still stupid on making this stuff. So if we fail at it, we let you know. We can say, hey, that's not going to work that way, unless you guys have done it and we just too stupid to figure it out. But we don't mind sharing our failures. That's how you learn. Sometimes it gets expensive, but that's how you learn. You heard the expression, right? That's an expensive lesson. You're going to have a lot of these messing with this stuff. And I don't make too much small stuff. Well, I mean, I make a few small stuff, but I'd rather do bigger stuff. I just enjoy it better. And I can see it better. So I did a thing a while ago. I will share this with you so you all know. Like making the small stuff. Yeah, whatever, cobwebs. You're starting to make bigger and bigger stuff all the time. So I will share something with you. I did a while ago. So I used some Monster Makers foam mixture. And I used like a part A versus part 2 of the Foamit 3 soft foam. And what happened was, man, that stuff just swelled up real big. And I was like, holy crap, man, that is huge. Which is supposed to swell up 32 times. But with the 2 different chemicals from 2 different people, I figured I'd try and see what it did. And I did. So, and this is what happened. I will share this with you. So this is what happened. So there's actually 2 different kinds of foam in here. There's white, the Foamit 3, then there's just the Nightmare Makers, Mold Makers, Nightmare Makers, Monster Makers. The Monster Makers foam. So it blew up real big. I ran off, went and got something to eat, came back, and it shrunk all back down. It actually turned out pretty good inside. So that thing's heavy. That's probably a good 15, 20 pounds. And it's hot as hell in here. But yeah, just word of advice on that when you're mixing stuff, make sure you're okay with mixing. So the good thing about the soft foam is if it got screwed up bad enough, you can get in there, rip that stuff out, and redo it. So I wasn't too worried about it because I do have a thick latex cover in there, so I wasn't worried about it. So what we're doing is putting our clay on here, get it on there, and we can go back and tinker with it later. Figure out if we want some kind of a pattern or design or something on it. I seen somebody say, "What's up?" Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hey, man, you still fiberglassing? Holy smokes, man! You guys are killing it. You guys got a big project going on there. I can't wait to see the total outcome of that, man. It's gonna be nice. See, Chris, you and Gina's gonna have to do some lives for too long, man. That'll show some of your all's screw ups, if you have any. But I've been wanting to do this sconce thing for a while. Just whenever you really think about it, it's very intimidating. Whenever you think about a skeleton, you're like, man, there is so many undercuts. There's the rib cage. There's just so much going on there, and it's kind of intimidating to try to tackle that much of work because I'm kind of lazy. I want to do something in a day. I don't want it to take 2 or 3 days, but you know how it goes. If you want something decent, you're going to have to work at it. Some of it's not going to do a day project. You're going to have to do a 3 or 4 day project or a week or a month or whatever it may be. Who did I miss? Anybody? Holy crap, that's a lot of fiberglassing. Try to post a whole form. Mix and match. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. You'd be surprised by how much stuff you can screw up and how much stuff you can screw up, and you're like, hey man, that's a good idea. I think that's a lot of how Halloween is I don't think Halloween's really know anything. It's about everybody's screw ups and like, hey man, I thought this would work really good, or this works better. But I really think these are going to look pretty cool in a haunt. You can make if you're going to do like a hallway. So I did a hallway of skeletons last year for my haunt, which I'm not going to have this year. But what I did was I just took a bunch of skeletons on each side and put it down the sides, and that looked pretty creepy, man. And I put black light in there with the white webbing, the spider webbing, and that stuff, man, that really glows real good in the black light, and that really did that hallway nice. So this would be the next step, I guess, that you can do. Just make you some panels and put them down the hallway. The only thing is making them cost effective. That's going to be the key. How can I make this to be cost effective? and shipping effective and all that goody crap. So I think I can mold this for around, it's probably going to be less. Well, by the time you buy all the silicone, it'll probably use maybe 1.5 gallons of silicone. So, and no, actually, when you buy the silicone, it comes in 2 1-gallon buckets. So it's a 50-50 mix. So I'm hoping that I might be able to get with about 1.5 gallons, maybe 2 gallon. And I think it's probably going to be about $600 for the silicone, unless it's came down some, which I really kind of doubt it has. But that's your going to be your initial startup. So everything that you're making, that's going to be your most expense. You know, buying your clay, buying the skeleton, buying the board or the foam or whatever it may be, and getting all that started. Buying the tools if you don't have the tools. You know, everything has an initial startup cost. I've had this clay forever. I've already used 25, 50 pounds. Working on 75 pounds of clay. So that's not bad. That's probably $60 worth of clay, something like that. I don't know what the price of the clay is at the moment. I'm scared to look. Then the skeletons, I think I got the skeletons for $20 last year when this season was ending. But as long as you keep these wet clay, as long as you keep it nice and closed, you shouldn't have to worry about it drying out on you. Because I bought like 200, see 50, yeah, I think about 200 pounds of wet clay. And this is going to be my last 50 pounds. There we go. All right, so there we have that. Now we're going to work on the inside. So I'm going to go grab some bone pieces and slam inside of this thing. Then we'll clay on all that. Then we'll close all of our gaps in. That way we're not having nothing go inside. So give me 1 second, be right back. You can look at my skeleton. Alrighty. So this is why you never throw away any of your foam pieces, because you'll never know where you need them. Even though they're kind of a hassle, saving them, put them in a bag or something, and put them up. So we're filling the inside of this so we can clay over top of this. You guys are wondering? That saves us from having to use a ton of clay. And if we need to cut some down, we can cut it down. So most of this foam I use is Foamit 3. I just heard that supply chain could. Oh, don't tell me that. Yeah, figures. Well, I guess we do what we can. You know, we keep motoring on. Even though they keep sticking it to us, we still keep trying. What a mess. 60-year heat wave. I believe it. It's freaking hot right now. It is freaking hot. So basically all I'm doing with this foam is sticking it in the rib cage. That way I can put my clay inside of the ribs on top, because I don't want to cover up my ribs. I just want clay inside of it so we don't get vapor locked. Hey, 13 Skeletons, thanks. Hot in Texas. Yeah, I bet it is. I think it's hot everywhere. Even Alaska's probably hot. They're probably pissed off up there because it's too hot. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we got him stuffed. Let's try to cut that down just a jag. There we go. It's more better. So now that we got our skeleton stuffed, we can start putting clay on top of this stuff. But I was saying before, I don't know if I finished it, I can't remember, but Foamit 3, that's what this foam here is. It's a real nice closed cell foam. So I really like it. It's probably one of the best foams I've used so far. Let's see, where else do we need to go? Right there. So what I'm doing when I'm shoving this foam inside of the cavity, so on this foam, once you cut it off, you're gonna have like a rough side, then the smooth side, and that's what I liked about this foam. It's got a nice smooth side. Where do you get it? Foamit 3. So I live in Alabama. I live in Birmingham, and the engineer guy. Just look up the engineer guy. They sell mostly rental stuff, but they're out of Atlanta, Georgia. That's who I get all of my stuff through. As of right now, I mean, eventually, maybe in the future, I'm going to expand out to try to find different vendors and stuff. But right now, it's the engineer guy. But anyway, I don't know if I finished or not. The smooth side is what I'm trying to put up on the inside there. So when I put my clay on, it just got a nice little texture to get on. If that matters. You probably don't, but sounds good. Let me stuff that right in there. So I'm just going to try to fill most of these gaps up. That way it's less clay I have to fill in. There we go. That looks good. I think we can do that. Okay. I'm going to get a drink of this old tea. Try Bitty Multiply. Yeah, Cobwebs, Bitty Multiply. I think that's who I'm going to switch to eventually. Bitty Multiply, as long as the supply chain doesn't get all screwed up. Boy, this sure is nasty. I am not a tea drinker, and it is nasty. All right, so now we're gonna start claying our skelly rib cage. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but there you go. Tea is disgusting. Yes, it is. It is nasty. Now I do like the old school sweet Lipton tea. Now I miss that. I remember you dump it out of the can and mix it in the water. Now, that's some good tea. But I don't have any of that. Good old Lipton tea. That's probably what I need. I know my grandmother used to jump onto me. You're gonna get sugar diabetes dumping all that sugar in there. Well, I mean that tea was nothing but sugar and a little bit of tea taste. Like Cheerios. I freaking hate Cheerios, but man, I'd eat them for breakfast before I go to school because that's all she would ever buy. That or Captain Crunch that would tear the roof of your mouth out. So when you went to the school and stuff, and you're sitting there trying to keep from your mouth bleeding because you done ripped your freaking mouth out, she'd always buy freaking Cheerios, and I hated Cheerios. So I'd dump a bunch of sugar in there, and if I dumped over a teaspoon in that sugar or in that bowl of Cheerios, she'd be like, "You're gonna get sugar diabetes." So I'd have to, and it was a glass sugar jar, so I'd have to raise it off real easy and not hit my spoon on a glass and just dump a bunch of sugar in there. It's like, ugh, this is nasty. Hate Cheerios. I just thought it was funny. Every time we turn around, this is always going to get sugar diabetes. Now look at me, I just got fat from sugar, drinking sodas, being lazy. So I'm doing is stuffing the rib cages with snakes of turds, clay is snakes of clay, turd clays, whatever you want to call them. So I'm just going to stuff these in there, and then we'll come back in and we'll mold these in just a little bit better. But right now we're just stuffing the clay in. And like down here where the rib cage is, where it's normally hollow, I will just take and I will flatten some clay out, and we'll cover up the foam that we shoved in there like this, and we'll just fold it over the ribs in the bottom of it there. Then we'll just come back in. Once you get it on, the good thing about this clay is whenever you get it on the ribs, you can take your finger, and if you rub it real hard, you can get your detail back in your rib cage. So you're not going to lose a lot of rib cage detail by doing that. If you do, you can just sculpt it in. So my brother Keith's over there making a big old mud monster or something. I can't remember what he called it. I think it was a mud monster. Sculpting a huge head. Man, he did a freaking them Cyclops he did for MHC this year when we went up there. Them Cyclops heads were freaking sweet. They were huge, but they were sweet. It was nicely done. Very well executed. Of course, all of his stuff was very well executed. So oops, I'm shaking all around here. All right, where'd you go? I hate this stinking thing. Yeah, the Cyclops heads were freaking cool. It's a meatloaf monster. The clay I'm using is wet clay. It's a water-based clay. If it's hot outside or anything like that, well, I'd probably suggest if you can't get on this within the next in a week's time, I would suggest using a oil-based clay, and you can get that just about anywhere, just about like the wet clay. But I have the wet clay, and my supplier's close by, so I have no. Well, I hope I have no problems in getting the supply I need to get it over here and my silicone over here and get this done without setting so long that this thing sets up and gets real hard. But if you keep it on it every day, so what I usually do I'm about in the garage every day except for here lately because it's been freaking 200 degrees in here. Is uh, if nothing else, stop by your workstation and spray some water on it at least once a day. Just soak it down really good. You'll be fine. It'll last a while. Now I do have. I had sculpted this stupid thing a while back on one of my heads, my Ed heads, and that thing has been on that Ed head for about 2 years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Well, the other day I looked at it. The clay had set up so hard it finally cracked and broke, and it just fell off in the bag. So it's sitting around here somewhere. It was kind of funny. It's like, well, I know that's no good no more. But if you do use this on, just say if you use it on a head and your clay does start setting up hard on it, don't go dumping a bunch of water on it. Take a wet towel and put over top of your clay and let it sit there for at least 24 hours. So give it time to rehydrate your clay. As long as your clay isn't totally freaking gone after it's been sitting there for 2 years, I think you can save it, to a certain extent. But get you a wet towel, put over top of your wet clay and your mold, and put a garbage bag over top of that. And just let it set 24, 48 hours or however long it takes for it to rehydrate your clay. I'll show you a bag of clay that I let set up. Hold on a second, I gotta wipe the sweat off my face. Okay. So this is some clay that's hard as a rock. So this is what happens when your clay sets up. It just crumbles. It's no good. I'm not sure if I can rehydrate that. I think I might be able to, but it would probably take a while. If I took and broke it all up nice and good, I might be able to rehydrate it. But I guess it all depends on if you really want to go through all that work. I don't know. Never tried it. But if you've tried it, let me know. And then did it work out? I don't see why it wouldn't. If you can crush it up to like a another powder, then rehydrate. I don't see why you couldn't. I'm sure they do the same thing when they make the wet clay. Is the part comes in as a dry substance, a dry clay, then they end up hydrating in it and mixing their glycerines or whatever it is they mix in it to make it. See, the good thing about doing this skeleton is you don't have to make it perfect, make it a perfect looking skeleton. Um, you just start throwing clay on it and go until you're happy with it. And if it doesn't look perfect, don't worry about it. Just keep playing with it and make it yours. Even though you're using you're using a form, so make it yours. I think you'll be fine. So we'll define them rib cages a little bit. So I want where I'm filling it in, where I'm filling the clay inside the rib cage, I want it sunken in. I don't want it above my ribs. So try to get that clay down in there. Sometimes you gotta stuff a little extra clay in there, it'll be fine. Won't hurt it. I'll just work on this one side and show you, and then we'll work on the other side. Kind of show you what I'm going for. So you kind of get the idea. Okay. So probably what we could do also is once we get this initial rib cage in, then we pour it all up. Then if we do it in rigid foam, we can probably Dremel these ribs sections out, and we can probably put some kind of light inside, make it for your wall sconce or whatever. And that'd probably be pretty cool. So I think there's going to be endless options for this thing. Walls for your haunt, or put lights in them, just whatever. I will say this, as you're working on this, as you're going through working on it, make sure you get a bottle of water and just squirt you some water on your clay because you want to keep it moist as possible as you're going along. Don't have to be super wet, but just make sure it's kind of moist so nothing sets up on you while you got it out in the air. So I figured these ribs was going to be a little challenging, which they are, and that's fine. Because we did use a soft foam to fill them. What's in there, Zoe? Huh? So whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, make sure you try not to get any 90-degree angles or any hard undercuts. That way you're able to get your mold off. And with us using silicone, it's not going to be that bad. So we're kind of up one on that. But if you're using, if you're going to use Ultra Cal, Hydro Cal, or Pottery #1 or something like that, then you want to make sure you don't have a 90-degree angle somewhere where you're going to lock whatever it is in that side of that mold. Then you're going to have to start all over again. And that's going to suck. Trust me, I know, I've done it before. You got to break the mold and might as well just break the mold and throw it in the garbage and start over. So whenever you do something like that, or make a sculpt or anything like that, just take your time and look at your sculpt, and as you're sculpting to make sure, okay, am I going to be able to mold this, or is it going to be a 3-piece mold or a 2-piece mold or something like that? That way you don't end up with a freaking nightmare on your hands. You can't get it all apart. Okay. All right, clean this side up a little bit. So what I'm doing is basically filling inside the rib cages, and I still want the original ribs showing a little bit. I don't want it super deep, but I do want them showing. And I will show you this one here in a second so I get it cleaned up. And if you want to, I like going through and taking a paper towel or something and cleaning off the plastic, just kind of seeing my definition on what I need to do. Do I need to do it more or whatever it may be. So you're basically cleaning off the clay off of your plastic skeleton ribs. And that way you can see what you're doing, where you're going, where you need to go, all that good stuff. How much clay do you need to subtract, how much clay you need to add, or whatever. because you want a little bit depth inside. You don't want it real deep inside the middle of the ribs, but you want a little bit of depth there. So let me see if I can show you this or not. All right. Whew. It is cooking in here. Oh, there's my wheelchair, in case you want to know how I get around in the 10,000 square feet. No, I'll ride that bad boy because I'm fat and lazy. Anyway, let me turn you around here. Okay. So there we go. If it's going to hold up there. There. Oh, going it. Hold on, I'm having technical difficulties. Okay. Yeah, anyway, that's not going to work. So, after I made you all drunk, there you go. There's the rib cage I'm talking about. So that's what we want to do on both sides, is to go ahead and fill all them rib cages in. As you can see, I got a spot or two here I need to add a little bit of clay to, and just keep playing with it. Now you can get that a good half-inch thick in there and not worry about it. But see all the way down in there, all that loose clay. But like underneath of this, you don't want to see how much of a hole I got in here. You want to make sure you get all that filled in, and you don't want to. I think that would be good with the silicone that we're going to be. I think that underlayment will be fine, but we still need to fill in these holes. And that's what's good about if you're doing a live video, or take your phone out and put it on camera or video, and you can see all the places that you need to fill in. So right there's the bottom of the rib cage. So like I said, this is just a rough draft, and we'll go back and we will start filling all these places in and making them nice and neat around them bones. And then we'll put the feet back on somehow or another. And there's the hands. So the hands are really thin, so I put a little bit of clay around them, and I just cleaned off the bones because I wanted the bones to show. And we'll probably define those a little bit more as we go. But I wanted the bones to show. And there's a screw hole, look at that. So that's something you want to fill in so that don't show up in the foam. But we'll define these a little bit more as we go. And I think it'll look pretty good. But there's a start of a rib cage. So we'll turn around and we'll do the other side. If I can get my phone to work here with all the clay on my fingers. Okay. Oops. I started it there. Oops. Hold on. Doggone it. Okay. Hello. There we go. Difficulties. So the only thing bad about moving this stuff around is trying to get it to work. So if you guys saw the rib cage, that's kind of what you're looking for. Like I said, you can make it just a little bit deeper or more shallow, or however you want to do it. But I wanted the ribs to be a little bit more defined. And what I'll do is I'll end up probably painting this all black or brown, and then I'll go back and dry brush the skeleton in a bone color or white or whatever it is we want to do. Whatever the customer wants or whatever we decide. So just an idea that you all can see. All right, let's see what we got on here. Meatloaf Monster, Mudman, Cyclops head are cool. I might be cool to let it dry out and start to crack, then mold it. Yeah, that's probably me. Wonder if you could put in a pressure cooker. What, that 6 foot by 2 foot thing in a pressure cooker? I don't know. Monster Garage Workshop. Yes, so this is an old kitchen, and I just turned it into this. And the reason I mold all my stuff in here is because I have this big old fan. It was over top of a stove, and I can suck. Ooh, that didn't sound good. But I can suck the fumes out of paints, out of whatever. So you can hear that. So when I mix up the Ultra Cal, you know how the white powder goes poof? Well, this will suck it right outside, and I don't have to worry about it. But But that's why I kind of dubbed this room as my molding room. And plus, I got my sink right there. I put in a new triple sink and all that good stuff. So it's a whole lot better because I need the water for the ultracal stuff than having to drag it all the way to the front of the building and all that stuff, which I'll have a sink up there eventually. There's some more of that nasty tea. All right. So you guys get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Is basically you're throwing a skeleton down and throwing mud on top of it and hoping for the best. But I think once I get this molded and I I'll be pouring this up in a rigid foam. And I think what I'm going to do is take some of that rigid foam and make some of them fiberglass, like kind of like Hollywood Horror does or something like that with the aluminum foil and stuff. Now I probably won't use aluminum foil, but I'll pour fiberglass over the rigid foam. Because the rigid foam is pretty hard. I think most of the stuff they use, you can scar that up pretty good, pretty easy. But the rigid foam, I think we can just fiberglass over it or just, and we'll just make it a special edition. If somebody wants one and they want it to fiberglass with it, we'll just do it in fiberglass. I'm sure it'll be a little bit more expensive, but I guess it all depends on what you want it for. Fiberglass is going to last you a good while versus just a foam. So what's everybody? Is everybody working on something Halloween this weekend? Are you guys ready for Halloween? Or does it even feel like it's close to Halloween? It kind of feels blah to me. It's thundering outside, so we get some rain. This feels kind of dead at the moment. It doesn't. I don't know if it's because the economy's took a dump and everybody's trying to, weed through the pain of that. And everybody's just kind of sitting back waiting to see what's going to happen with the economy and their money and everything like that. So it's like up here in the shoulders, even though they're straight across, you want them to fade right into your board. You don't want them suckers really sharp. I'm pretty sure our silicone can handle if they are a little bit sharp, but we are trying to make this thing look like it is kind of coming out of the board. So. You gotta see that sweat dripping off me. It's hot in here. It's cooking. It is freaking 9, 10 o'clock tonight already? 8, 9 o'clock. And it's just cooking in this building. I don't know. I do feel a nice burst of cool air coming through that vent once in a while. Chris, are you still in here? When do you have to have all of your monuments done and stuff? And you making them for a something out there where you're at? If you're still on. Alrighty. So we got that blended in pretty decent. There we go. There's his shoulders. You guys seen that okay? How you do until I get in the way, right? So I did his as well. All them holes in his pelvic, I covered all that stuff up. And I did thicken these up a little bit. So this one here still needs a little bit more. And I will thicken this up and then I'll taper it on out a little bit more so it's not so sharp. And it'll be easy to get off the mold. Like I said, we're using silicone, so it is going to be a little easier. Silicone's pretty forgiving to a certain extent. But I want to make sure we get it off with no problems. As you're sculpting or your skeleton, excuse me, you can go in and add different stuff to it. You can put a spider in it somewhere, or a snake, or put some guts on it, or whatever it is you want to do. So as you go, just throw something in there and just mold it right into it. I think you'll be fine, and it'll probably be a fun little project. This will be a fun little project for kids too. You say, hey, here's you some clay. Start putting them on the board. I'm sure they'll enjoy doing that. All the clay might be in one spot, but it'll be fun watching them. I know my granddaughters would. They would love to get in this mess. Or my grandson too, I'm sure. He likes playing in the dirt with bugs and everything else. All I gotta do is tell him, go find me some bugs. He'll put some bugs in it. Put some real ones in it. He likes some little roly-polies. Usually comes in as a got a handful of roly-polies. I know I've talked your guys' ear off. If there's any questions you guys have, feel free to ask. Now, when I do get off of the live feeds, sometimes it takes a day or two for me to be able to see the comments, and I don't know why they do that. And I can go back and answer them, or just shoot me a message personally. And if you have any ideas or anything, I don't mind helping you out with it or whatever. You can reach out to Dave at the Weird Kid Show or Keith at Cobwebs and Candlesticks. That's what we're here for. We're here to, if you guys got any questions, we'll help you out. So I mostly build stuff. I mostly build facades, and I work with a lot of wood and stuff like that. Dave builds a little bit of everything. I mean, he's into like mask, and I don't know. He's just pretty good about all that stuff. And it's aggravating because he doubts himself so much, and I'm like, man, me and Keith Thompson, man, dude, for that, like he did a freaking Frankenstein, man. And that thing just turned out freaking beautiful, but sometimes it just gets disheartening. Like if you're trying to sell something and nobody's biting on it, It's not the piece, it's not the quality of the piece, it's just, that's not what's hip at the moment, and that's the thing you gotta find out. Like pumpkins, the last couple of years, pumpkins has been freaking nuts. Everybody wants some sort of a pumpkin, and I'm still like an old zombie head. I love my zombies, and that's another thing we got coming up too. So we were going to be building life-size zombies, so that ought to be fun. As soon as I get my welder up and going again, I will be welding the armature, steel frame, whatever it is. I'll be welding the steel frame and making the stand and stuff for it, so we can make our zombies. Those are going to be cool, I think. And if you guys haven't seen the corpses I'm making, go check those out. I think I got them on my YouTube somewhere. But I make some cool corpses. And some of that is time consuming, like the corpses I make is a little time consuming. But it's well worth it. The overall of the corpse, in my opinion, looks pretty good. But it's good to, if you make a corpse, just keep using different materials until you find something that you like working with, that works well with you, doesn't cost a freaking a fortune, and go with it. Even though if it's a little time consuming, it's going to be worth it in the long run. I find that if you take your time on some of this stuff and just pack at it, it'll be fine. It'll come out. Just if you get tired of looking at it, and if you think you're done, step away from it for a little bit. Then come back to it and look what you have done, and just look over the whole thing. And take your camera phone out or whatever. Get your light out. Look at it that way. Blow it up a little bit. That way you can see if you have any mistakes or undercuts or anything like it. It all depends on what you're doing, but you kind of get the idea. Just take your time and don't rush anything. It's not going anywhere, and it'll be fine. So we're just filling a little bit of this in. And you don't want this stuff perfectly smooth because you want some sort of rough texture. That way, once you paint it all black or whatever color it is you're going to paint it, then we're going to high brush it. Yeah, we're going to dry brush it, and that way, all of our knots and nodules and our bones and stuff is going to show up, and that's what's going to make your skeleton. So make your skeleton look good. See, just like this here, how rough. Once you paint it all black, and you just dry brush them ribs and everything is going to really show. All that detail is going to come right out at you. It's going to look good. Like I said, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's just a skeleton. You can buy skeletons all day long, whether it's a $2,000 one or a $30 one. Depends on whatever you prefer. They're out there. I have a real human skeleton at the house. Of course, I don't think I would ever put clay on it. I'd probably never get it off of him. I did think about molding his skull, but I'm afraid to. He's so fragile. I'm afraid to put anything on his skull, so I probably never will. But he lives in a casket in my garage. Now you see some of our ribs, how they are not fully all the way down here. We got a couple of them that needs to come down here. We need to clean off. But you'll see a big old section here that there is no ribs, and that's fine. What we can do is we can take this section and we can just make it, put some knots or something in there, just kind of go with the stomach flow. It don't have to be nothing super perfect. Clean this bone off a little bit. So what we'll probably do with this here is we'll probably push that stomach in a little bit. Make it look like it's sunken in. There we go. That looks better. I don't want it pushed out. I want it sunken in a little bit. There we go. That looks more better. So what do y'all think? I think that's pretty much what you're looking for as far as getting the clay on your tray. Then we'll just go back and we'll save that for another live if you want. If it's okay with you guys, we'll come back with another live, and then we'll start fine tuning all of our bones and all of our detailing, how we want it. Like, if you all can tell the difference, I don't know if you can tell the difference. Let me see if I can turn this up. So what I'm going to show you is the difference between this section up here and the other section I did down there. Even though they're done the same, I did clean that up just a little bit versus I haven't cleaned this up. So I will show you that. See it. So you can see all this section here is just pieced together. And that there's a little bit more cleaner. So what I'll do with that is I'll just take water and I'll just get it good and wet. I'll just take my hand and rub it all in. And you got to give it a pretty good bit of pressure. And that will kind of hide a little bit of them where you see all the pieces coming together. And you're going to get rid of all of them, but that'll get rid of some of them, most of them. If not, just keep playing with it. Just keep doing it until you get to the desired thing you're looking for. Now, we're not looking for anything smooth at all. We just want to knock those down where it looks like we put clay over top of clay over top of clay. So we just kind of want it to blend at the ends just a little bit. Now we'll probably going to be doing this a few times as far as playing with the clay, because I'm always thinking, whenever I start a project, I'm always thinking, okay, what can I add to it? Well, what's next? Of course, we need a skull in here. If you guys want to stick around, I'll do a skull. Let me know. Or you want me to save the skull for the next time? Probably take me maybe 15 minutes to do a skull from start to finish. If that. But if you want me to do the scald, if you want me to add the scald to this tonight, let me know. I don't want to hold you all up all night long. I know it's raining here, so if it's raining where you're at your party, I'm laying down and ready for bed. But yeah, if you want me to do a scald, let me know, and I'll take you in there and show you how I do my scald. Or do you want me to save it for the next live? Up to you. And then everybody's already fell asleep. So another good thing about water is if you got any wee little cracks or anything in there, once you start mixing that mud around, it will fill in those little cracks. There we go. Wash my hands. Whew, it's hot. It's raining outside and it's still hot. So if you're using clay, wet clay, throw you a little bit of water in there and close that sucker back up because it will dry up really quick. Get my hands cleaned off here. Let's see, man, I'm way behind. What the heck? Once they're poured up, you can Dremel the hell out of it. Yeah. Yep. You can Dremel them. Either side would be creepy. Oh, yeah, that would be creepy. That would probably be pretty cool. A cave. Yep. Torches. Awesome. Yeah, I thought about throwing a sword with this. I've seen one, I think, that somebody's doing one with a sword, but I can't remember. A pirate cave, vines growing all over one. Yep. A mummy skelly, mold the lower jaw so it could talk. Yeah, we're going to put a jaw on it, but it's not going to talk. Could have one arm free, it could reach out and try to grab you. That would be freaking cool. It would be cool. It's just trying to figure out how to do it with everything in rigid foam. Slip on a skelly arm that was hooked to a cylinder. Like, where is this going? Yeah. If you want to know where it's going, I don't know. I guess it's up to whoever buys it, where they want to go. It's a 2 foot by 6 foot wide. It's 2 foot wide, 6 foot long, approximately 5. Let's see. It's going to be about 8 inches thick at the rib cage and probably around the head and the hips. But that is probably going to be like a sconce for whatever you want it for, I guess. I just thought it was cool. You can make a couple sconces and put them on some pillars. Yeah. Yeah, that thing is nasty, man. So when do you add the glitter and the... No, man. You know what? Know your Joe. That's what we ought to do. We'll make one of these and we'll just freaking put glitter on the whole damn thing and just send it to Cobwebs. Make him put it up for his Halloween on the front of his door or something. Looking at YouTube videos for inspiration. Death to the Gnomes. Late September. Oh, okay. Well, you got plenty of time then. For the Winchester Mystery. Oh, they're for the Winchester place. Okay. Is working with clay basically playing in the dirt? Yes. Pretty much. Yep. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Tree of Terror is awesome. I am buying pumpkins tomorrow. Awesome. I love pumpkins. Hey, Berlina. I saw Berlina sent me a picture of her pumpkin today, and that was pretty cool. Did a good job on it. Man, I'm so far behind on these. I wish these things would just stay up here. $15, that's fine. Not holding me up. Whichever you prefer. Sitting in the car now. Storming something awful. Yeah, it's raining here, but it's not real bad. I wish it would blow a little bit of air through this building. Okay. Let's do a skeleton then. I mean, the skull. Let's do a skull. So let me go set everything up real quick, and I'll be right back. And I'll let you look at my skeleton. Make sure it doesn't jump the table and go anywhere, because you know how things go. They seem to just grow little legs and walk away. And then I'll come back and get you. Hopefully we don't lose service. But first, let me take a good drink of this nasty tea. Oh my God, it is so not good. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. And I lost everybody. Everybody left me. Son of a gun. Oh, there you are. Yum, nasty tea. Man, that tea, I have to say it's not too bad, but I'm just not a tea drinker. I don't drink beer. I don't drink tea. I don't drink coffee. It's thundering and lightning and pouring down. Man, I wish it would do a little bit more than what it's doing there, but it's raining decent. No, I didn't take a potty break. Look how much tea I've drunk. After drinking that whole thing, I think that's what, 1.5 liters or something? I'll probably be peeing my guts out. Anyway, let's take you up here before you go dead. And I will show you pouring up on these Nightmare Maker skulls and the materials I use. I'm sure most of you guys know already. Between me, Keith, and Dave, we're always using Nightmare Maker skulls and bones and pieces and parts of things and whatnot. But here we go. See, you can see me real good now. We get set up here. Let me know if you can see that okay, because I did move everything, and you are up front of the building. Okay. Mold, cups, our foam at 5. So this is our foam at 5. That's what it looks like. Foam at number 5. And this is the rigid foam. So this is a 50-50 mix. So we'll take half and half. It doesn't take a whole lot to make this skull, but we want to do a little bit extra, and we can just trim it off. So it's not going to hurt making extra on these, or on this one. Now, if you're going to make a bunch of them, then you'll get it down to the science on mixing this stuff. So that's what it looks like. One's a dark, part A, and one is clear, part B. And this is the Nightmare Makers. Nightmare Makers? Monster Makers. Man, I keep screwing that up. So this is the Makers stuff here. And then this part A and part B. Word of caution. This stuff has a smell to it. Smells like semen. Just now you know. This stuff does not. This foam here from Reynolds actually has got a good smell to it. It doesn't have a bad smell, and it doesn't give off a bunch of crazy fumes or anything like that. So you can sniff this. But the other stuff, whew, boy, is it nasty. And it's not very strong either. It doesn't poof up in your face and all that stuff. So it's not that bad. So now we'll just pour it in there. Mix it real good and pour it in there and let it do its magic. Get my pants up here. Get these lids back on. For the face, since you're trimming off the back. Well, I would, but I'm not sure how. So I'm not going to cut it. The face isn't going to be exactly forward. So I want to turn just a little bit. So I want to make sure I got enough meat in the back so I can either turn the face to the side, partially to the side, or whatever. Yeah. To be honest with you, this, oh man, I got it good down here. See, that's gonna pour the big hit. Yeah, you need the cups. The cups is a must. So I bought the Dixie Cups. I really don't want the red ones. The reason is because of how the lines are on it. They're wavy. but I have grown used to these because I've been using them for a while. I do blue cups. They are more straight in the lines, and you can measure your lines by the straightness of them lines in the cup. I'm sure they make them in the red Dixies, but the blue ones is the one I like using the most of. But you can use either one. You learn it pretty quick. Well, I don't know if you can all see that raising up there. I'm probably going to have to add a little bit more for that lower jaw. Yeah, she's about done as far as raising. It's still soft. She's kind of hard. All right, well, let's mix some more. It's probably too much as usual. And we are not putting this stuff on a scale. This stuff here is very easy to work with. I love working with this rigid foam. It isn't rocket science. Now you can put it on a scale if you want to, because you get 2 gallons of this. On the rigid foam, you get 1 gallon of A and 1 gallon of B. And it's not rocket science. It's really easy to work with. If you're 1 ounce over, it's not the end of the world. Like that Monster Maker stuff, if you have 1 gram over or something, man, it just screws up every freaking thing. And I really do not like using that for anything. And I tried it. I've used almost 1 gallon of each, and I do not like it at all. And that's going to be the thing too, guys, is whenever you're working with different kind of materials, is what you're going to be comfortable working with, what's going to be easy. Now everything I do is kind of a pain in the butt, but I like to keep it as simple as possible. And mixing that Monster Maker stuff at 32 times, if there's an art to it, I do not know it. It is a pain in the butt. So what I use on this other stuff, the silicone, it's called Rebound 25. So that's the silicone I use. And Cobwebs uses it for making little object stuff. You can make it thick silicone to make eyeballs, teeth, or whatever it is you want to make. So I got about a half a gallon of that stuff, and it comes in a part A and part B. That's the beauty about that, is it's a part A and part B. There's nothing major. So I told you it's going to be a little bit over. It's all right. We'll clean that mess off there. There you go. So now we got that mess cleaned off. We'll let that set up, and then we'll tear it off of there. So that'll take, I don't know, a few minutes to set up. Then we'll pull it out. So another thing you're going to need if you use silicone is, a good thing to have is different colors to mix your silicone with. So the color of this silicone here is white and orange. So if you do multiple layers, you don't want to miss your consistency on the second layer. If it's all the same color, it could mess you up. So that's where this comes in. This is probably about $50 for all these colors. I think it was $47, $50, something like that. But you get yellow, red, a dark red, and a white, a blue, green, and another blue, a brown, and a peach. But this is a silicone tint. It takes a very, very freaking little to mix in your silicone to change the silicone color. So there's that. And you also will want a bottle of this. I think this bottle is like $10, $15. It's called Thintix Thavex. Anyway, I think they call it Thintix or something like that. But what it is a thickener for your silicone. Do not use that on your first coat. So your first coat is your detail coat. So maybe your second, third, depends on how many coats. I probably won't do 4 coats. I'll probably do up to coats on this, and this will probably be on my last coat. So my 2 coats will make sure I'm getting into all the detail. Then I'll put the last coat on a thick coat. So there's that. And you'll make, that's one of my molds. This is one of my skull molds I made. Kind of like the Nightmare Makers molds. Not as pretty as theirs, but just like it. The only bad thing about making your own is finding your sweet spot on your thickness of the silicone. That's going to be the sweet spot. Like in this section here, it is very thick. And that's because once you put this like this and you start putting your silicone on, and it's all going to pile up right here. So it's very important to keep that pulled up. So you want the same kind of thickness all the way around. You don't want it thick and thin, if you can help it. Now, you're not going to be able to help it all the time, but that's what it's there for. So this is my pumpkin skull mold I made. And this here is Ultra Cow and Ace bandages. And what I did is I just dipped my Ace bandages in Ultra Cow and put over top of my silicone pumpkin skull mold. So you can see the different colors I used there: orange, blue, and you get the pretty detail in there. You can see some of the orange in there. So I got a couple little thin spots in it. Not bad. Still learning. So then you'll just put that. Once you do that, you make a jacket. So you'll make a first jacket whenever you make your silicone in the sets. Make your first jacket, make it half. Your half. And what I do is I take Vaseline and I smear probably 3/4 of an inch in on top of itself on this here. And I've never had it to stick. Then you'll take your second one and then you will make your second piece come on top of that. And you just put it on top of your other piece. Then when you're done, it gets set up and you just pull it apart. Easy peasy. Now these are Nightmare Makers molds. Let me find their stuff. Here it is. So this is Nightmare Makers molds. So remember when I was telling you about those thick pieces? I have them here. So it's very important when you mold something is trying to get it in every nook and cranny, which is very, very freaking hard. But there you go. That's the same thing. They made the same thing, only this is medical grade stuff. And they make a beautiful silicone mold. They make a beautiful silicone. Oops, that's the wrong one. So you're not going to have any problems if you buy a mold from Nightmare Makers. Oh, so this is a number 5. No jaw number 5. I thought I had a 2. Maybe that's what. Maybe my number 2 is a jaw. Anyway, I've got. Oh, that's why I got that. And this is the breakdown of your silicone. I think this is the number 2 one. Yeah. So this is my number 2 jaw. This is one I've had for a couple of years. And this is what happens to your silicone. It will actually start breaking down over a period of time. It will start cracking and all your stuff will start sticking inside. And it just makes a freaking mess. It gets real thin, if y'all can see that. So over time, your silicone is going to break down. And I have used this sucker more and more and more. I've even tried to patch it. And what I'll do, because I've used some soft foam in here, so that's what the hell that is, a soft foam, which is junk. And if I pour rigid foam up in this, it will actually adhere to all that soft foam and take that out and make my mold clean again. But it does not fix that breakdown of silicone. Now, you can probably go in and patch that. I have asked them about it, and they wasn't sure, but I'm sure it's just, the breakdown of it. I have used it a pretty good bit. If it's got a thin spot in it somewhere, it's going to break down. So I think these are like about 150, 170 bucks, something like that. So they are expensive, but you will get a lot of life out of them. Like I said, that one's probably a couple years old. See? There she is. She's set up. Let's take her out. As you can see, I'm going to need a hammer for that one. Anyway, let's take this apart. I hope you guys can still see me. I hope the service is all right. Dollar Tree has big potty cups. Yes. Yeah, it won't hurt going over the mold. As long as it stays on the silicone, you're fine. It'll come off that silicone. If it gets on this, it's going to stick to that. And which some of it did, which is fine. So that's what I mean. If it goes over, it will stick to that, but you can take a knife and clean that up. But just go easy and take it off your mold. There you go. There she is. So now we'll just expand our silicone away from the bottom of it here. Whew, boy, that is hot now. She is cooking. Still hot. Coming in hot. So like getting it loose from the bottom, then I'll usually go in behind. And I just pull it over the top. Just roll it off. I'm sweating like a hog. Then it's going to hang up whenever you get to the eyeballs. So you just want to pull them out a little bit. Don't jerk on them real hard. They will come out. And it'll come out of the nose. And there it comes out of the mouth. And there you go. Hear it popping. So now you just turn your silicone mold back in. And that way it can retain its shape. And I just stick it in back in the mold. But there she is. That is our skull. So reason why, since y'all wanted to open mouth, is I was thinking about doing it at an angle. Something like that. So it's looking sideways, but I can still see both of its eyes. And I didn't want it looking straight forward. I thought it just looked too, I don't know, too boring. Anyway, let's get you all in here so I can plug it back up before we die. And we will cut this and with a hacksaw. God, man, I'm still sweating like a hog, man. I mean, it's cooking in here. I guess all that heat from outside just said, man, let's go inside that building and screw with me for a while. Whew. Alrighty. We are back in the molding room or the kitchen, whatever you want to call it. Oh, okay. Yeah, tin thicks, thick tins. Yeah, tin thicks. That's what it is. That's to make your silicone thicker. All right. Let me get it bent down there. Here we go. All right. So I'm kind of glad you all wanted me to go ahead and do this because I was like, well, it'll feel a little bit more completed if we had a skull on it. So let's get it trimmed up a little bit here. Then we will go and figure out how we want to cut this sucker. still just a little ticky, or still a little sticky. We're still playing with it. And once this thing sets up, what I usually get, I don't know where it's at now, but I have a horse hoof rasp, and that can help you shape up any of imperfections going around the jaw or whatever it is. So I'm thinking I want to set the skull sideways like that somehow. Now we can either go backwards or we can point it down a little bit. I mean, we could go forward, but I don't know. I just think it would suit better one side. What I can do is make a couple of these. So if I don't tear this mold up with the silicone, I can reuse this mold and get another and turn this skull this way, so I have a left and a right. I could possibly do that. I don't know. Ideas. All right, so let's cut this bad boy at some sort of an angle, and we'll start small, then work our way up. Well, we can take away and just add it all, and it's going to suck. Now, see, I like that. The reason I like that because I'm able to take and put that clay up on its head, and that head looks like it's embedded in that clay. So I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to shape this jawline up just a little bit. Now I did several of these, so if I'm going too fast, don't worry about it. I've done about 1,000 of these and everything. So that's how we got it. Whoops. That's how we got our head. And that's how we did the bottom. So you can still go in and clean all that, but I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of clay on this. Oh yeah. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to cut a little bit of hole out of this right here because we want that neck bone to go up in here just a little bit. It don't have to be perfect in there, but we want it to countersink in this just a little bit. So that's all I did. Just scraped a little hole in there, just enough to kind of set our neck in there to that first vertebrae. It's where we want to go. I like it. I like it a lot. So this is what we got. So this sucker, well, I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to take you over there. Okay. Anyway, his head is pointing out and up, like he's kind of looking up. I like that. It's gonna look good. So now, all we need to do is clay it in. How fun is that? Ooh. Nasty tea. Nasty tea. All right. So a good hacksaw is a must. All right, guys, let me know. I know it's late. I'm not sure exactly what time it is, but I know it's kind of late. Do you want to watch me clay this skull in, or do you want to wait till, I don't know, maybe tomorrow to do it? It's up to you guys. I'll do it if you want me to. If not, if you want me to wait till tomorrow so y'all can get some sleep, or whatever. And yeah, we can do that. We'll do it today or tomorrow. It's up to you guys. What do you feel like? Keep going, Ray. Hacksaw, handsaw, body geeks. Yes. Yes to what? Whatever you would like to go, or whatever you'd like to do. Sorry, guys. I'm half blind, so, and I'm a slow reader, and I can't hardly see shit. So. All right, let's do it. Get you straightened up here a little bit. All right, let me get some of my tools up here. All right. I have another project that I'm starting on before too long. So I'm going to go to Harbor Freight, you know, the good high price stuff is where all the quality tools are. And I'm going to get me a wood lathe. And this is a distortions piece. And I'm going to make something like this, but I'm going to make them in different sizes. And this is all resin. But this here. So this is what went on top of Crazy Christine. It has so many imperfections in it, but it doesn't matter because it still looks freaking cool. But I am going to turn some of these on a lathe, and I will be molding some of these. So these will be available by March, and we can make these and put them on our own props. So I wanted to make about 3 or 4 different sizes of these. This one's probably, I don't know, probably about 10 inches maybe. Okay, it is 8.5 inches. So this one's 8.5 inches. But you can see the imperfections in it. It just, which is probably hard. They probably sculpted this stinking thing by hand. Yeah, it's an old school insulator. They probably sculpted this by hand, and it's a good job for what it is. But I want to turn this, make mine on the lathe so I can get a better looking insulator and make a few of these things. I'm going to go pee real quick, so hang out. Watch him. Let me go pee real quick. No, I'm not drinking this tea. I'm drinking, I don't know, it's called Gold Peak Real Brewed Tea. And it's making me pee, and it's nasty. So, be right back. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go get glitter out of the commode. I'll probably piss some glitter drinking that gold. All right, so turn this down more a little bit. There we go. Y'all see that okay there? There you go. All right. So I'm going to start on the back up here and just I'm going to make some snakes of clay and go around his neck. He's really going to get glittered. I don't mind glitter. It doesn't bother me like it does cobwebs. I think that glitter has its place in a 5, 10, 12-year-old's mind somewhere. But I'm not a glitter freak, but I don't have nothing against it. So with this skull and everything, we're going to have to make sure of our undercuts. Let's see. So I don't know what time it is. Y'all tell me what time it is, please. I have no clue. Can't see it on my telephone. I don't have a clock in here. Anybody's got a time? Sorry, Central Time. That's where I'm at, Alabama. If you're in California, then I'll just have to guess at it. Ray, you're probably, I think you're 2 hours behind us, ain't you? Uh, 10:10. Where are you from, Know Your Joe? You're from Alabama? You from the central area? Ten Central. Okay, cool. 8:11 p.m. here in California, Texas. Okay, yeah, Texas on there. Man, I'll tell you what, my favorite state is Texas. I've been all over Texas, been to Waco, Dallas, Fort Worth. Texas is a beautiful state. When I used to drive truck, that was one of my favorite places to go. They said, hey, you want to go to Texas? Yes, I did. I always wanted to go to Texas. I was down in Texas like the week before the David Koresh ordeal, whenever all that shit went down there in Waco. It was a mess and a half. I think that was his name, David Koresh, wasn't it? I used to haul juice out of Waco. And I'd always get in trouble because I would haul it up to freaking Nebraska, then through my way to Oklahoma. They would pull me into Oklahoma and weigh my load, and it was always overweight. Every freaking time. That one DOT officer says, man, I ever catch you back in my state? Because I went up through the turnpike. And that DOT guy says, man, you come through my state like that again. He says, I'll turn you back around. You'll take that load back and dump it. He wasn't happy. But he did let me go with a fine, but he let me go. Thank God. This cost me a couple $100. Thank God I don't do no trucking no more. Whew, boy, was that a mess. I freaking hated it. I loved it for the first 6-7 years, and after that it became, I don't know, it became too much federally regulated, and it just became a freaking pain to deal with. And you couldn't make no money anymore. They're just like now, diesel fuel's so freaking high, then they don't want to pay you. I own my own company, they didn't want to pay you nothing. They want you to haul cheap ass freight. And they have these backhauls. There is no such thing as a backhaul. Freight is freight, you're hauling it. Whether you're to or from, it doesn't matter. But they always say it's a backhaul. So backhaul to where? It just blows my mind how they rip off the drivers. And just like the brokers will broker out a load and say the load is paying $2,000 and the broker is broken it out to a driver for $1,000, and that driver has to go through hell and back to get the load. It's not worth it. And you get some brokers that don't want to pay the drivers, and just trucking left a bad taste in my mouth, and that's why they're having such a hard time doing it. They got it so federally regulated, nobody wants to do it. You don't make no money. Then you go to a shipper or receiver, and I saw this one. I follow this one guy. I think he's called the Asian trucker, Asian something. But somebody had one of the shipper and receivers posted a sign, $1 to use their bathroom. Really? You make them sit there for 2 days? Well, where do you expect these drivers to go use a bathroom at? It's not fair how they do guys and girls that do the trucking industry. I'm just glad I'm out of it. I do miss having my trucks because I had some pretty trucks. I did the whole fancy, chicken lights and the chrome and stuff like that, and hardwood floors in there. I mean, that's where you lived at 6-8 weeks at a time. So, you wanted your truck to look nice, or at least I did. But yeah, that's gone. Thank God it's over. 15 years. Years of my life I'll never get back. But I did see the country. I've been to every state except for Washington, the Dakotas, and Oregon. I think there's one more state I didn't see, but the rest of them I've been to several times. I actually learned to drive in the Northeast. So Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York City. I used to go out on the island a good bit. Jersey City is one of the worst places to freaking drive. If somebody says, "Hey, you got a load going to Jersey City?" No, sir. I know don't go to Jersey City. Them people do not freaking care about anything. And it's a shame because it's a pretty state. Yep, I don't do no Jersey City. I don't do any trucking at all. New York City wasn't bad. Did the Bronx, Queens, stuff like that. It wasn't that bad. I used to deliver pipe and different stuff in there. Now, if you're delivering foods or you're picking up fruits or something like that up in there, man, that's a freaking nightmare. If you're hauling any kind of commodity food, it was just always a nightmare. You guys know anything about the trucking industry, then you know what I'm talking about. Y'all see that okay? Let's see what we got here. Did I lose everybody? Everybody just hauled ass on me. Let's see. Beaumont, Texas, a couple times. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. Texas, man, is a beautiful, beautiful state. I love it down there. It was a mess. Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah. Thanks. So if you guys remember, I'm sure you're all old enough to remember 9/11. So when 9/11 happened, I was down around by the Pentagon, around the 695 Pentagon when all that shit went down. When I drove truck, I was around that mess. And if you all remember, whenever they was sending the ricin, the chemical weapon ricin through the mail to Tom Brokaw and all them guys, I was kind of one of those guys that was hauling that mail. So the company I work for, we hauled a lot of mail down to DC, and we was down there about 2 or 3 times a freaking day. And well, I came out of there, and the guy came in behind me, and his load that he delivered tested positive for ricin or something like it. I can't remember how it all came out, but since he was around it and was exposed to it, he had to get a shot. And I was kind of like the last person out there that didn't have to get a shot. Thank God. But yeah, it was a mess. Like if you had just say you hauled some flour, and you know when you set a bag of flour down, it goes poof. So all that whiteness goes everywhere on that trailer. Oh my goodness, you could not pull into no dock. If you did, you better not have no white powder substance in your floor. These people would freak out on you and just tell you to get your truck away from their dock, and they would just be pissed and go off on you, man. They didn't play no more. Well, anyway, around DC there, now after all the ricin scare went through, they had to treat all of the mail that came in through that district or through that area. Anyway, in that area, all that stuff, the stuff that they used to kill that ricin smelled like pepper. I don't know exactly what it might have been pepper. I don't know what it was, but it just smelled like pepper. And that's what they used to treat the mail with before they distribute the mail. And when 9/11 happened, so when I first started driving, it was $35 to go across the George Washington Bridge, the GW Bridge. So that's kind of one of the main bridges back in the 1800s. That's right there in New York City, going through the Bronx and whatnot. So we used to go across that quite a bit, but it was $35 for a tractor trailer to go through there. But once 9/11 happened, luckily, they kind of didn't make everybody pay that. They shut the toll booths down, so you can go in and out for free. Of course, a lot of people was hauling stuff in and out of New York to try to, get everything back up and going again. So that was a freaking mess. So I was driving truck through that. I was driving truck through when Katrina hit. Luckily, I wasn't in Katrina, but I did haul a lot of. And another thing I did like about the trucking industry was like a national disaster or something like that. If you're hauling FEMA stuff, you didn't have to worry about your law book. You can just take it and go. So I used to haul a lot of stuff for that down in Mississippi and Louisiana and stuff like that. Didn't have to do a whole bunch of crap. Only bad thing about, of course, you guys know anytime anything like that happens, all these scammers start coming out and shit, trying to scam people. So you had to watch a lot of that. Yeah, I went through that. Some of you guys might know or remember Hurricane Fran. That was way back in the day. So Hurricane Fran, whenever that hit in North Carolina, I was a tree trimmer then. I used to cut trees out away from the power line, and we was on standby to go to that. And we worked 10-hour shifts, and by the time we got off work and went home, it was like, hey man, just get your clothes and come on. So we had to hurry up and get our clothes and get ready and jump in a dog box and go to North Carolina. Well, we went down in there and got to Roanoke, Virginia, and it started storming real bad. So we ended up in freaking right during Hurricane Fran, right in the storm. And we was in a big old convoy going down that way. And one of our job foremans was in a little white Toyota truck, and a tree fell in between the convoy. And luckily it didn't land on any of us, but he hit that tree head on, busted his face all to pieces. Yep, Hurricane Fran. The old girl tore some stuff up down there. When we was going down through there after the next day, we had to stop at some people's house and doctor our boss up. He had a busted face, black eyes, blood everywhere. So we had to get out in that storm and cut them trees out of the road so we could go. And so we was soaking wet, no electricity, no place to stay. I mean, we stayed in the freaking back of our trucks. That's where we slept at on the damn mulch. So yeah, it was a very eventful. But I was young, I didn't care. And man, we'd get up at dark, and we would start going through the spans looking for power lines down, cutting all the trees off of them. Yeah, that was fun. So what I'm doing on this here, guys, is I'm just building up around my skull. Then we'll come back and we'll do some kind of shape. And what I'm thinking about is I want it to look like it's kind of ripping out. So I want to get some folds in this thing, like a starburst of folds or something. I want to get it somewhat where it looks like that it's not going to hang up if we use a mold. Let's see. I mean, on our silicone. So we don't want a 90-degree angle of any sort, and we just want to flatten that out just a little bit if we do get some sort of 90-degree. But yeah, if you guys been through some kind of a bad storm, let me know, man. I live kind of Tornado Alley. So where I live at, if you look up McDonald's Chapel on the internet, on YouTube, there is a couple videos on there where you'll see the devastation that the area that got hit. That was before I moved here. But so there was some lady that lived down in the bottom that the storm tore her house up, and she ended up dying in that storm. As far as I know, she's the only one that I heard of that died in that storm. And I don't remember what storm it was. It was a little bit before my time moving down here. But I live in the Tornado Alley. And yeah. Now there's no houses where I live. It's like a house here, there, and yonder. It's not as populated as it used to be. I'm so far back in the sticks, the squirrels won't even come and visit. Got some rabbits and foxes and coyotes. Got plenty of rabbits, but no squirrels. Put this out a little more. So I want this to come out. All right, let me see what we got going on here. Oh, and everybody disappeared. Oh, there they are. Yeah, man, tornadoes are freaking scary, man. I don't know how bad an earthquake is. I've never been in an earthquake, but I don't want to be in any of it. I know I get some pretty bad storms. The wind had taken my back carport tin. They're like 20 foot long. It took all of my tin except for two pieces off of a two-car carport in the back. And it took took all that and blew it away. And it wasn't even a tornado. It was just a big old windstorm. was like, all right then. Yeah, I don't want to be in no earthquake. I don't want to be in no tornado. I don't want to be in no flood. So what I'm doing is I'm just building up around this skull a little bit because we're going to eventually sculpt on this sucker. So I need it to be a little thicker up here. And I'm using quite a bit of that. That's a whole 25 pound of clay that we almost used. I think next time I go live, I will try to get my laptop to connect to the internet and all that stuff so I can see the comments a whole lot better. It's just hard to see comments on this thing. I have to keep looking at them. If you don't hit it just right, it won't show up. Yeah. I mean, a tornado, the one thing about a tornado versus like a regular windstorm is, man, that windstorm is right there on you. You can't go outside and see that. It's already there. The tornado gives you some sort of a little bit of warning. We got a horn close to us that they'll sound off if they see one somewhere. And thank God I got a couple storm shelters in my basement, so I'm glad I have that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show you everything I'm going to sculpt on this night because I'm about ready for to quit for tonight. But I wanted to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to take a piece of clay and we're going to make little, kind of like little Ys, if that makes any sense. So I will show you what I'm talking about. And I'm just going to guess at this. Okay. So we're going to make little spikes or little Ys or whatever you want to call them. Okay. So in one end of it, we want it to taper down. I'll show you here in a second. This is just going to be a quickie to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So you want it to kind of taper down a little bit. You probably want it to taper down a little more than that. And you probably want this top a little wider than that. And just thin it down a little bit. But if you need to add more to this, it's no big deal. All right, now you're going to take your snake. Make a snake. Too big. All right, so now we got a snake. And we're going to stick it like this. You want it off to one side, through the middle, right down the center. Just right like that. And then we'll take another piece and we'll stick it like that. So we'll finish off the center piece here. And that's what you're looking for. So I just taught you how to make a Y on a piece of stupid clay. No, this is what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is, let me touch you down. You have to go down any further. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to fade this Y out to each side. So you want to just fade it out to each side. But you still kind of want that sharpness in the middle. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. If it turns out for me. If it looks like crap, then I'll apologize. But I want to show you this real quick before we call it the night. Because I got to get home and give my puppy some medicine. So hopefully he can get some sleep tonight. So we're looking for something like that. Now you see how sharp it is and stuff in there. And this is just rough. It's not anything pretty, anything like that. So this is kind of what we want. We want this like a web or something's hitting, like a web is hitting on this here. Let me turn it this way. Like the web is grabbing a hold of that skull, and it's just going down and down and down and down until it grabs a hold of something down here. Now we can redefine this whenever, but this just gives you a base of kind of what to look for. So basically you're making webs sort of kind of that's connected to your skull and then holding it down on the thing. And that'll just add a little bit more detail to your skull, your skeleton. It is still hot in here, man. Get some water on this real quick. But we'll do this sort of thing all the way around this skull. And that will just make it look like it's been kind of pulled out of the clay, out of the wall or whatever it's pulling out of. I don't know how it's going to look, but we're going to try it. And get this worked in a little bit so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Let me wash my hands off real quick, and we can redefine that with some tools, and that's just a rough little thing. Don't do it with your hands. Okay. I don't know how. Well, it would help if that was out of your way, wouldn't it? Let me dry my hands off here and I'll give you a little close up on that. Man, you guys has been with me, hanging out with me for 2.5 hours, man. I can't believe it. I'm sure you guys are freaking bored out of your mind. You're like, man, will this dude just shut the hell up? All right. Let me unplug you here real quick. And I'll give you a little close up on this. Let me see if I can turn you around here. Oh, look how pretty I am. There we go. All right. So this is kind of what we got. We're going to feather some of these out. We're going to make some short ones, some long ones, and we'll just continue that all the way around this skull. And maybe we'll just do a couple of short ones back here, maybe one long one or something. But that'll make it look like it's kind of coming out. And you can use some tools to sharpen that and redefine all that and whatnot. So there we go. I think it's pretty freaking gnarly. But there's underneath his chin. Now we'll probably take some clay and go up on his chin a little bit to kind of, make it a little better. They said, take your phone. See all that gap on there? Take your phone or something, or a light, and look up underneath there. And that's the stuff that we'll have to address on the next. Once we get all of our clay down and kind of figure out what we want, Then we'll just go back and we'll start from the head to toe or toe to head and go through and fix anything that needs to be fixed. Like some of these ribs, you see there's little sections that's needs to be fixed. There's a hole there. So it's little stuff like that you want to go back and redefine and fix. And we'll have to fix this hip on this side. And you'll see that hole and stuff underneath the arm right there and right there. So that's the stuff that we'll fix and go over and check it out. So that's the good thing about stuff like this is take your time. It is a big piece. And oops. And look here. Oh, look at that. There you go. But it's something to take your time and do. And we've been at it all day on this thing. Not all day, but a good bit portion of it. And we've used probably probably a little bit more over 75 pounds, almost 100 pounds of clay. So, and we're not finished. We still got a long way to go because now everything is defining everything. We got our clay on. Now we got to go fix the holes and whatnot. We'll define everything, figure out the rip out part, like where his head, well, I showed you his head is. Is that going to work? If it doesn't work, we'll rip that out and then we'll just try something else and we'll just keep playing with it and whatnot. Another thing we can do, I was thinking about, is since the feet, it's probably not going to look that great because they're not sticking out like they should. They're going to have to be flat. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking a bunch of skulls and just making some kind of, we'll cut the skulls down. We'll make them different ways like we did this one. And it's kind of like we're making a barrel topper, but it's just a stack of skulls. And we can put that down at the feet. It might be an idea. Let me know if you want to see me do that. Like take a bunch of these skulls and, we can just make them however, we can just make a stack of skulls down by his feet and we can just cover up his feet. That way we don't really see his ankles down, or we can go up almost to the kneecaps on putting skulls and stuff in there. Kind of like I have a video of a skull wall that I did. It's like 4 foot by 4 foot. And there's like a 2 foot section in the middle, so nothing but skulls. Now we can probably do something like that at the bottom, and that will eliminate us having to figure out a plastic foot. So, just kind of, we'll play with it. We got a few days, so we'll just keep playing with it. So with that being said, guys, man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this stinking long, 2 hours and 34 minutes. I just can't believe you all stuck around watching me dabble for that long, but I do appreciate it. You guys mean the world to me. Whether you're subscribed to me or not, it doesn't matter, and I don't care. I appreciate your guys' feedback on stuff. If something looks like crap, just say, hey man, this thing looks like shit. I can take it. You're gonna hurt my little feelings, but you can see my shirt. You're gonna hurt my little feelings, but it's okay. If something you wanted to see me make in the future, let me know, and maybe we'll work on it. Give me some ideas, and we'll just come up with a online monster, and we'll just make it happen. Or we can try it anyway. But yes, anyway, guys, I'm out of here. You guys have a great night. Be safe tomorrow if you're going to church or whatnot. We do love each and every one of you, and please just make something, man, and don't have to be perfect. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.